You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you and your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at rahardin.com. That's the World Wide Web at rahardin.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. You're listening to America Off the Rails with your host, Rick Robinson.
Listen, folks, I'm here to tell you our political system is broken. The two-party system is dead. They have become one and the same.
Keep on doing what you do, Rick. You're my favorite host.
And in a surprising and disturbing move today, the Libertarian vice presidential candidate just agreed that rifles are weapons of mass destruction and people on the terror watch list should not be allowed to purchase guns. So in other words, the party of freedom is liberty for me but not for thee. Go figure.
Compromise where you can. Where you can't, don't. Even if everyone is telling you that something wrong is something right. Even if the whole world is telling you to move, it is your duty to plant yourself like a tree.
All right, folks. Well, happy Thursday evening. This is America Off the Rails at its new live time slot right here on KLRNRadio.com, as well as CRNTalk.com and AMFM247.com, as well as iHeart, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, FM Player, and so many more. I can't remember them all. But we are continuing the conversation that I just ended off with Miss Jen on the Jen and Rick show. So we have a continuation of more election fallout and what I have now started jokingly terming Suicide Watch 2016 because we have despondent Democrats everywhere. Now, look, I just want to remind everybody, I didn't want Donald Trump either. So for all of you that are completely going nuts and telling me that I should still not be supporting him, etc., look, I understand that. I made a pledge to make sure that all the way through the election process he would not give my vote. I kept my word. I didn't vote for him. But he is about to be sworn in as president. I'm going to give him the same courtesy that I gave to Barack Obama. And it was the same courtesy that I had hoped the left would also extend to Donald Trump. And apparently they're not willing to do that. Now, I'm not trying to make the right sound completely magnanimous and gracious, and we're going to talk about that as the show begins in earnest when we take a quick break here in just a few minutes. But the thing with this is the right and the left are both behaving like children still. The pundits on the right are taking victory laps, talking about we need to stick it to the left. We need to not give an inch because this time we won, and we need to show them what it feels like. When just a few election cycles ago, they were singing a much different tune. Folks like Rush Limbaugh were lamenting because Barack Obama told everybody elections have consequences and I don't have to work with the Republicans if I don't want to. Now, today on his very own show on a live broadcast, he said much the same about Republicans working with Democrats. And even more so to the point, he mentioned those of us that were never Trumpers and said that we didn't need them. He doesn't need us. So why should they work with us either? Look, the thing that I've been trying to get the point across now for 2 nights running, and I'm about to stop altogether and just go back to talking about news and other things now that the election's about over. But the thing that I've been trying to get point across now for 2 consecutive nights, I will freely admit when I was wrong. I never in a million years thought we would be looking at President Trump. Everybody knew how unbeatable the Hillary Clinton machine was supposed to be. And everyone knows how crazy he is. I can still say that because it's the truth. But it doesn't mean that I will not give him the respect that is due based on the fact that he is now the President-elect of the United States of America. I will afford him the same respect that I attempted to afford to Barack Obama until such time as he proved to me that I could not do that. And that is where I am today. Because that is where we need to all be as Americans. He hasn't even been sworn in yet, and we have people rioting in the streets. If you pull up any news sources in the country right now, you can find a half dozen stories of people rioting in towns, burning things, breaking things, beating the crap out of potential Trump voters, and vice versa. Let's not forget there are some fringes on the right now that are going after people of Muslim faith that wear the head coverings. I think they call them hijabs. I always feel weird when I say that word because it feels like I'm saying it wrong. But I saw a couple of stories today of supposed people that were supposedly Trump supporters that were ripping the hijabs off of people in towns in this country today. Look, I understand that everybody's angry. I understand that everybody's on edge. I completely get it. I fully understand it. But we need to start trying to figure out a way to put this stuff behind us. So that's what we're going to be talking about today on America Off the Rails is what do we do next in the face of all this election fallout? Are we going to find a way to become Americans again? Are we going to find a way to put the country first? Because right now I don't see anybody really attempting to do that. Right now we have one side ready to run away in fear and the other side taking victory laps. And I get it. We have felt like we were going to be an extinct species if we were conservative over the last 8 years. I don't know how many times, and I know he didn't mean it in a bad way, but my co-host on Finding Common Ground, who happens to be a millennial who just turned 18, has spent most of his childhood watching what he thought this country during the last 8 years sliding more and more to the left. And he honestly, in some ways, I think, thought it was going to be a perpetual situation. He seemed to not understand what a lot of us that have been around for a lot longer do understand, and that.
Stay tuned. Things are going to get real interesting. You're listening.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
All right, folks, welcome back. This is America Off the Rails, and we are talking election aftermath and what comes next. Now, again, if you're paying attention to the news right now, and if you're an everyday American like me, you're probably having a bit of a freak out because we always talk about how the rest of the world watches us with these peaceful transitions of power. If anything, right now, this seems like anything but a peaceful transition of power. So what do we do? What are some of the things that we as everyday Americans can do to try to get the point across to the other crazy people around us that are so caught up in the heat of the moment that they're not paying attention to what actually matters? Because look, let's face it, at the end of the day, remember, we're all still Americans first. We've lost track of that, especially over the last 8 years. And that's why I've been so angry about a lot of these things that have been going on over the last couple of days, because when you really look at it, if anybody had a reason to be rioting over the last 8 years, it would have been the right. we were looking at the same thing that the left feels like they're looking at right now, an unknown quantity in President Barack Obama. The only difference is he had a modicum of political experience. Before that, he was a relatively unknown quantity. He was an adjunct professor. He was a single-term senator from Chicago in their legislature, if I remember correctly. I think he served maybe one full term there. He didn't even finish a full term at the national level Senate before he was tapped for the presidency. So he was an unknown quantity, much like Donald Trump is today. But nobody on the left talks about that. That's what they liked about him on the left, though, because they could shape him to be whatever they wanted him to be, because he really didn't have any past history when it came to politics. And that was something that people were looking for even back then. They were tired of the same old thing from the politicians. The problem is what they realized much too soon is they still got the exact same thing they were running from with Barack Obama. That is my fear with Donald Trump. I think we're going to find, unfortunately, that no matter how much we try to get away from this political machine, until we find a way to actually become its master again, we're going to keep being trampled over it or trampled under it. And that is my concern. But what do we do for the moment? Because he hasn't even been sworn in yet. We have half the country that's already saying they're not going to support him. Now, I want to remind folks, there were a lot of folks on the right that were saying the same thing when Barack Obama was elected because of how split the map was. The left feels exactly the same way as we did in 2008. The difference is we buckled down and we still tried to get behind him, even if we were being vocally dissentive. We weren't out breaking things. That is the problem. That's the thing that I don't think anyone understands. We are seeing the fruition of the everyone gets a trophy and life has to be fair mentality. This is what happens when they come face to face with the fact that life is not fair. They cannot handle it. They have been canceling classes in college for the last 2 days. They are bringing in pizza to comfort adults who can't seem to cope with the fact that their president that they wanted did not get what they thought they were going to get, which is President Hillary Clinton. They have, the Huffington Post put out an article today about how to deal with the election aftermath, and they put the suicide hotline number at the bottom of it. The suicide hotline number at the bottom of the article over an election. Are you kidding me? Have we really raised an entire generation of milquetoast who don't know how to deal with the world when they lose? This is what the right has been talking about for a decade. We are watching our future generations be trained in the inability to survive because they cannot cope with change. They cannot cope with loss. And we're watching this unfold right in front of us, and there's nothing that we can do but watch in horror as people that are Democrats, who are the same ones that tell us that we need to love all animals, hug all trees, be peaceful above all else, and stop starting wars in other countries, go home and destroy their own towns because they're angry. How does that work? When you are peace-loving, tree-hugging hippie and you're in California right now rioting in the streets because you're mad because your president didn't win. We have people that are calling for the dissolution of the Electoral College because they don't understand how our system works. This is everything that we've been talking about for the last 8 years, right in front of our faces. We have a nationalized education system that has failed us because we have an entire generation of people with very few marketable skills. We have an entire generation of people with no coping mechanisms, or they wouldn't be rioting in the streets and breaking things and having to get counseling from their college professors. This is the America that we've been fighting for? Are you kidding me? Did we really fall so far in 8 years, or was it always here and we just never noticed? Has it been this way for longer than we realized? Because there are plenty of people that are just this way on the right. I know plenty of people right now that are mad at me because I'm willing to give President Trump the benefit of the doubt. Because look, I know I've been saying this for the last couple of days. I'm going to say it again. Nobody fought harder to try to keep him out of the White House than I did. I campaigned against him every chance I had. You can talk to friends of mine. You can talk to the person that's producing me right now, who used to tell me in the heat of the primary, please stop spending 45 minutes of your show bashing Donald Trump. You're losing people because they don't want to hear you do the same thing every single day. And I'm like, but Jess, it's our party and he's taking it over. Look, I get it. He came in like a bull in a china shop. He tore the whole thing up. I don't know if it's ever going to be able to put back together. It's why I'm officially a libertarian now. But he is still president-elect of the United States. We have to give him the benefit of the doubt, at least long enough to see what he's going to do, and he hasn't even been sworn in yet. And this is the guy, and some of you know this because the show's gotten really popular over the last few months, who has been doing everything he can to point out all of the times that Donald Trump contradicted himself, all the times that he said something different in one room that he didn't say in another. And I'm still telling you, can we please just be the adults in the room? Please, can someone stand up and decide that they're going to be the adult in the room? Because Rush Limbaugh is not willing to do it. He spent his whole day today doing a victory lap and saying that we should crush the left and destroy them because we won and we don't need them. Then he came out and said the very same thing about Never Trump, which still happens to be me. I am Never Trump. I was Never Trump until he won. Now I feel like I really don't have a choice because what am I going to do? All of a sudden decide we're going to have another president? Am I going to start the he's not my president crap? No, because that was just as idiotic when there were people that were doing that over Obama. So why can I make fun of one person for 8 years that said he's not my president, Rick? And I'm now all of a sudden I'm like, well, Trump's not going to be my president because I didn't vote for him. No, that's not how that works. It doesn't matter whether you voted for them or not. Once they win, you don't have a choice. You at least have to give them the respect due to the office. And that's the first thing that we need to get past. This is not negotiable. He is the president of the United States. Now, I don't know how long he's going to be president of the United States, because let's not forget, unless something changes, he has a couple of court hearings coming up in a few days. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with some of the things that he still has brewing. But that's a story for another day, because he won the election. And whether we like it or not, elections do have consequences. But when are we going to stop putting our fingers in the faces of the other side when they lose? We were so mad when they did that to us in 2008. I know I was. I was angry because I listened to Barack Obama and I listened to him say that he was going to reach across the aisle and work across the aisle like no president before him. And then the one chance that he had to do that, the first time he had a chance to do that, and he threw it back in our faces and said, elections have consequences. I won. Deal with it. And now we have Rush Limbaugh saying the same exact thing today. I have a problem with that, because when we say we want to be treated differently than we're being treated by the other side, and then we have a chance to show them how we want to be treated when we're on the other side, and we treat them exactly the way that they've treated us, then nobody's learning anything. And this goes for everybody on the left and on the right today that is telling me that they can't support Donald Trump or they won't support Donald Trump. He's still the president-elect.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at RAHARDIN.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
All right, folks, welcome back. All right, so at this point, we are getting to the point where about a third of the way through the show. So actually, I mentioned I have a producer with me tonight. I'm actually going to have her unmute her mic here in just a second and join in on the conversation because, why not? No sense in letting me do all the talking and not let her have any fun. But I do want to say one thing real quick, and this is for all you folks right now that are like looting and rioting out in California. Dude, marijuana just got legalized. Chill out. Go smoke a bowl. I mean, dang, come on. All right, so Jess, you can go ahead and unmute your mic and join in if you want.
All right, Rick, I got to talk about these special snowflakes that we're raising. These special snowflakes, as I'm going to call them, are an absolute pain in the neck. They are the everybody gets a trophy, everything has to be perfectly fair. If my slice of pizza is smaller than his slice of pizza, I'm going to throw a temper tantrum. And I hate to say it, I've seen it in other cultures, but not quite as badly. I will admit that. But I have friends around the world. Army wives tend to have those kinds of things. And these special snowflakes have no work ethic, in my opinion. In my opinion, they want everything handed to them on a silver platter. And if everything isn't fair down to the second and the micron, that's it. They throw their hands up. I can't handle it. And I am still scratching my head, going all the way back to the riots we saw over Ferguson and Baltimore and all that, of what does rioting and looting and burning your own town down have to do with making a statement? If anybody can answer that one for me, my Twitter is at Jesse's POV. Feel free to shoot me a message. You can also get a message to me through Rick at AOTR_host on Twitter. I mean, I'm sorry, if somebody can please explain that one. I'd like to know what setting fire to your own freaking town has to do with making a statement. And I'm also willing to bet one other thing. And that's at least a third of these people who are out there rioting, screaming, and protesting didn't vote.
Probably not. And and just to go back to one of the reasons why I'm still I'm really trying hard with Donald Trump. I really am. But while you were mentioning the protesters, I saw somebody screen capture one of his tweets and send it out and say, this is the guy that's about to be president. He was just ranting and raving about the fact that he's pretty sure some of these protesters were paid by the media. Now, I don't know whether they were or they weren't, but regardless, at this point, I think it's time for someone to remember that they are about to be president of the United States, because he is now doing the very same thing that we used to yell at Barack Obama for doing, and opening his mouth when he really shouldn't. And that's been one of my complaints all along. And I think we have seen that. If you look at the map this time, we see the exact same thing that happened with the left in 2008 with the right in 2016. We had our own cult of personality candidate who managed to energize people. Now, granted, it wasn't nearly to the level that Barack Obama did it, but he still managed to energize people and get people out to vote that nobody had seen vote before. It's why the polls were so far off. It's why we have all the pollsters. I mean, even Nate Silver was wrong. He has never been wrong. Since he started that thing, the 538 website, he has not been wrong until now. Because the models were all off, because they didn't realize the number of first-time voters that were going to come out. And again, I don't really necessarily think it was a big thing to support Donald Trump. I think it was to prove to the rest of the world that we did not like Barack Obama's policies. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't support either Hillary Clinton or Donald Trump. Because if you listen closely to what they both said, they promised in one way or another to continue some of those very same policies that were repudiated 2 nights ago. And that's one of the reasons why I didn't want either one of them at the top of the ticket. But I had no control over the Democratic one. I thought I had at least a modicum of control over who would wind up at the top of the Republican ticket. But I can still sit here and I can lament it and I can mourn and I can mope like a lot of the folks on both the left and the right are doing right now. Or I can give him the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, and do exactly what we've been talking about for the last couple of days. It's time to hold the Republican Party's feet to the fire, because they're going to have full control of everything for the next 2 years.
Right.
They
and Rick,
excuses.
If Trump can get a conservative SCOTUS nominee through and do a third of what he's been ranting about, I'll be relatively pacified. I was also in the Never Trump camp, and I also did not vote for Trump, for many of the same reasons Rick didn't. Now, I don't usually talk U.S. politics, but I wasn't for either one of these people. I mean, we had a potential criminal or the criminally insane. Take your pick. Yes, I'm quoting you, Rick.
I was going to say, that sounds really familiar. Oh, yeah, I think that was one of the first nights you yelled at me and told me that I needed to quit bashing Trump all the time. Was, I think, the night I said that.
Might have been. But it was getting to where it didn't matter which one of your shows I pulled up, they all sounded the same.
Well, when you've got a liberal pretending to be a Republican, destroying your party from the inside, I mean, what are you going to talk about? I mean, because look, and that's been my stance. And look, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. At this, I don't have a choice.
Stay tuned.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at rahardin.com. That's the World Wide Web at rahardin.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Hardin to see and purchase his books.
Individuals and businesses with tax problems, listen carefully. Do you feel like you're losing control over your finances? If you owe over $10,000 in back taxes or have unfiled tax returns, we can help you take back control. The IRS is the largest and most aggressive collection agency in the world, and they can seize your bank account, garnish your paycheck, close your business, and file criminal charges. Take control of your tax problems now by calling the experts at Tax Mediation Services and take advantage of the Fresh Start program and new laws that may allow us to negotiate a settlement for the lowest amount possible. Our team of tax attorneys and enrolled agents can stop collections and get you protected so you can take control of your financial future. Tax Mediation Services is accredited by the Better Business Bureau. Call now for a free case review and a price protection guaranteed quote.
Call Tax Mediation Services now at 800-610-9050. That's 800-610-9050. 800-610-9050.
This is Slickery Trigger for Rebel Road Tactical. With proper care and feeding, your pistol will be ready when you need it, there to save your life. Shouldn't your gear be that good? Whether you need a holster for comfortable everyday carry or a tough-as-nails holster for your next training course, Rebel Road Tactical has what you need. Check us out on the web at rebelroadtactical.com.
Having a place to go after school will make you a better student. Having an outlet to express yourself will make you a better artist. Having something to do together will make you a better family. At the Y, we're helping build better friends, listeners, writers, swimmers, scientists, and musicians, one chance at a time. Give the gift of opportunity. Support the Y at ymca.net. The Y, for a better us.
All right, folks, welcome back. This is America Off the Rails, and we have been talking election aftermath and what comes next. So one of the first things, again, we've been talking about is it's time to put the differences aside. Look, because, I mean, and I'm going to say it again, we're all Americans first. We seem like we're losing track of that. It seems like we've been losing track of that now for a while. And one of the things that I don't think I realized how prevalent it was becoming again until my wife and I actually went to the movies. This last weekend, she was on vacation, so we spent the last day of her vacation, and we took a little mini road trip. We went up north and actually saw a historical monument called the Big Round Barn, and then we went and checked out Pop Soda Shop. Some of you may know where that is if you're familiar with Oklahoma. And then we decided we were going to go to a movie because Medea's Halloween movie was out, and my wife is a big Medea fan. I usually can take it or leave it, but this one I actually thought was pretty funny. But the previews were insane. Every other preview was about some sort of a racially motivated movie. And it reminded me of one of the things that nobody's really been talking about, and I'm not sure why, because under this president, Barack Obama, who was supposed to be the guy that proved to us that racism was dead in our country, if anything, racism is more alive now than it's been since the 1960s. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that it's being brought right back to the forefront because for some reason we have an entire generation of people that feel like they just defeated slavery all over again, even though it's been defeated for hundreds of years at this point. And that is a problem for me. When we look at all of these people that are now rioting in the streets because they feel like they've gotten an unfair deal, they're rioting in the streets because... And let's face it, this isn't the first time there's been rioting and looting and people breaking things and burning things down. It's been a recurring theme under this president, and it's one of the reasons that I am so willing to at least give Donald Trump a chance to see what type of president he's going to be, because he said the same thing that Barack Obama said in 2008 on the night that he accepted the fact that he had won the presidency. He's going to try to be all of America's president. That is what Barack Obama said he wanted to do. That is not what he proved. So right now, Trump has said the same thing. So until he proves to me whether he is or he isn't, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. That's one of the first things that we need to do. Then we need to set to work on fixing what's broken. And we do that by holding the Republicans' feet to the fire. Look, nobody's giving them credit for all the things that they made sure didn't happen while they had the majority in the House and the Senate, and we had a president that eventually figured out the only way he could get anything done was by executive order. Nobody's giving them credit for the things that they managed to stave off. Because let's not forget all of the other things that Barack Obama said he was going to do in his 8 years as president that he couldn't manage to do. The most damaging thing that he managed to do to the country was the Obamacare Act. Because it didn't do anything that he promised us it was going to do. My wife's job just terminated family coverages because of Obamacare. I, up until now, have been one of the lucky few people that because of where I work during the day and where she works, I have had 2 forms of insurance. Which for me is good because I have health issues, I have physical issues that have to be addressed, and because I am getting a little older now, occasionally I have to go to the doctor because I'll sneeze wrong and my back goes out. So it was a really great thing because I could walk into a doctor's office, throw down 2 forms of insurance, and walk out without having to pay anything. That has officially come to a close, predominantly because of Obamacare. All of the people that it was supposed to save money for, I hear talking every day about now they're having to choose how to pay for their health care coverages because if they don't, they're going to take a tax penalty at the end of the year. They're not going to get part of their return back that they depend on every single year. But this was supposed to make things better. That's what they told us. Remember, we had to pass it to see what was in it, but it was going to be great. It was going to lower everything for cost for average American families by $2,500 a year. First year, it raised them by $2,500. Second year, I think we were up to somewhere around $5,000. Now they don't even really count anymore because it's just crazy because now there's only like 1 or 2 insurance companies that will even work with Obamacare.
Hey, Rick?
Yep.
You know what else healthcare related that Obama did that really no one's talking about?
What's that?
He took autism, any form of autism, care or diagnosis, away from TRICARE, our United States Armed Forces. If you have an autistic child, you are on your own.
Wait, speaking of nobody talking about that, I have to admit I'm not sure I heard about that, so I'm sorry, what?
Okay, let's rewind for 2 seconds. TRICARE is the insurance for all United States Armed Forces personnel. Okay? You with me so far?
Yeah, no, that much I got. I just hadn't heard that he made that drastic of a change.
Autism diagnosis, autism treatment, anything saying autism, automatic, denied.
Now, see, I mean, what purpose does that serve? Because wasn't the whole point of Obamacare to make sure that everybody got coverages, but you just took a segment of the population and said because of your I thought pre-existing conditions were excluded under Obamacare. I thought all of that was gone.
Oh, but
so
see,
how is it that TRICARE can be told, well, you don't have to cover that anymore?
Oh, see, A, TRICARE isn't Obamacare, and the other reason it annoys me is because you are talking about the men and women who put on the uniform to support and defend the Constitution of this great nation and are willing to risk their lives to fight and die for our freedoms, and now you are taking away part of their health insurance coverage that they depend on. Houston, we have a problem.
No, I agree. Like I said, I had no idea that he'd done that. I've been so focused on how it's impacted my family over the last few years that I didn't even realize that anything that drastic had happened. I mean, and I guess that's one of the things that has me so concerned about Donald Trump still is because he's using language like repeal and replace. What is he going to replace it with? And why do we need to replace it? I mean, the thing that irritates me about Obamacare is there were 2 really easy, quick ways to fix all of this. 1, open up insurance companies for policies between state lines, because currently that is not allowed. If you actually open it up among all 50 states and allow the insurance companies to actually have to compete with each other, that is naturally going to drive the prices of the insurance down. If you do that, that's going to bring the prices down far enough where people that couldn't afford insurance before are suddenly going to be able to afford it, because they're going to be able to find the cheapest possible places to get it. So that solves two problems. That one thing alone solves two problems, because a lot of the people that couldn't afford insurance before are going to be able to get better insurance than they ever had access to before, because they're going to be able to go to Timbuktu to get it, where it's $5 a day for insurance instead of $50 a day for insurance. So that in and of itself would have fixed everything. Now, that are a lot of things. Now, that's one of the things that, as far as I know, Donald Trump is talking about doing. But what concerns me is he's also talking about, because he freely admitted in an interview on CBS 60 Minutes back in, I believe it was September of 2015, that there is a segment of our population that cannot afford healthcare coverages. And with him as president, everyone will have to be covered. And when they specifically asked him how he was going to do that, he said the government was going to have to pay for it. And it was a very un-Republican thing for him to say. But the government was going to have to pay for it, but it was going to be okay because we were going to save so much money on the back end that it would wind up making everything cheaper. Now, that logic does not make any sense to me. And that's one of the reasons why when everybody started talking about the fact that he started talking about repealing and replacing Obamacare, I kept playing him the audio of him saying there's going to be a segment of the population that will, in essence, have universal health care. Because once we start policies like that, they do not stop. It's the same thing when they started allowing states to vote on marijuana. It was one state first, then two states, now 3 states. Now in between medical usage and recreational use, how many states is it legal in now? And it's going to continue to get more and more, because once we start down that road, it doesn't stop.
Stay tuned.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from critiques of the short story through to the line edits of the full-length novel and copy editing for those preparing for publication. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites, as well as help with those book blurbs and promotional material. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
Think fast. In the short time it takes to listen to this message, a small flame can turn into a big fire. Several minutes more, and thick, poisonous smoke may have filled your lungs and reduced your ability to respond. Give it 5, and your entire home may be filled with flames.
Keep breathing. We've got you.
Don't let your world go up in smoke. Have working smoke alarms and always stay in the kitchen when cooking at high temperatures. Learn more at usfa.fema.gov, because fire is everyone's fight.
All right, folks, welcome back. And we have again been talking about some of the craziness that's going on with the elections. And then Jess brought up something I didn't know, which is that apparently autism is now excluded from being able to be covered through military healthcare provider, which is TRICARE. That in and of itself makes me a little more angry and makes me even a little more happy that it wasn't Hillary Clinton that wound up getting into the White House, because that probably would have been a policy that would have been continued. And again, like I said, Trump is a completely unknown quantity. I don't know which way he's going to go. but I do know that he's about to be president-elect, so we kind of really don't have a choice. But I'm tired of hearing about all of these people. I mean, I was being shown video after video after video, and it's one of the things I really don't like about social media. As much as it's made my job as a talk show host easier, because I can interact with people now all day long, even when I'm not on the air with them, and get to know people, and we build relationships and rapport, and we talk back and forth, and it's great because those same people tune in every time I'm on the air now because I talk to them every single day. So it's a really great thing. But at the same time, all of these people that use social media to whine and complain and post videos of themselves in complete and total meltdowns about, oh my God, Donald Trump is not my president. Yes, he is. Unless you're actually going to keep your word, for all of you that said you were going to move to Canada once he became president, then yes, he's going to be your president too, whether you like it or not. And trust me, I was just as unhappy in 2008 when I had to face the fact that Barack Obama was going to be my president. I was just as despondent in 2012 when, even though his first term was terrible, he still managed to squeak out a second one. Because again, he didn't keep his word. Does anybody remember the two things that he promised us in the beginning of his first term? One, he's going to revamp healthcare, and it's going to save us money and be great for America. So he did part of that. He revamped healthcare. Technically, kind of destroyed healthcare, depending on who you talk to. But then he also said, and if at the end of my first term I have not made things better, you don't even have to worry about me running for a second term.
Well, he broke his promises. And I'm sorry, he shouldn't have been reelected. Didn't he also mention something about cutting the national deficit?
Well, if you listen to the liberals, he's done that.
How does 19 trillion in national deficit relate to cutting it?
See, that's been my question all along, because when you look at the national debt and you look at the deficit, it is, as it stands right now, I believe, just a little over $19 trillion. But if you ask a liberal about that, they start talking about all the things that he supposedly cut that by their projections means that we're supposed to have a balanced budget again sometime by 2050. What does that do with the fact that we have a $19 trillion deficit right now today? It's another thing that has me really concerned about Donald Trump, because again, it's not anything that I've heard him specifically say, but his surrogates have already been saying some pretty scary things. Omarosa, who actually knows him from his time as the host of The Apprentice, actually was talking to someone and said that folks like me, well, not necessarily like me because I'm still a really small fish in a really large pond, but the more prominent Never Trump folks were going to wind up on a list of some sort, and the Donald Trump presidency and the Donald Trump White House was going to keep an eye on them and make sure they weren't doing things that they didn't necessarily agree with. That sounds a lot like Barack Obama using the IRS to target 501c3s that he didn't necessarily agree with, which again, by the way, is illegal. Nixon got in trouble for much, much less, but it seemed to be okay when Obama did it. And that, again, is something that I'm getting really tired of, because we keep having this situation where when we have a Republican president that does executive orders, the Republicans are pretty well fine with it. Now, granted, most of the Republican executive orders are fairly harmless, but some of them have been scary. But then we have a Democratic president who uses executive orders, and oh my God, it's treason. Can we just admit the fact that executive orders suck regardless of who's using them, especially since they mainly were just supposed to be like harmless declarations and never intended to be being used how they're being used now? Can we just admit they suck now, please?
Rick, I will admit 95% of them suck. There are a few I agree with, and by the way, I just did a quick search on the autism TRICARE thing and found out Obama tried to do it. However, you can thank the Republican Congress for stopping him, because TRICARE, unlike many things military, literally takes an act of Congress to change.
So in other words, there was, again, something else the Republican Congress did, right? That no one knew about. See, I'd wondered about that because I hadn't heard anything about TRICARE, and with as many friends as I have in the military, I was figuring if there was something like that had happened, I would have heard about it before now. I'm honestly surprised I still didn't hear about the fact that it was attempted, but it does make me feel better knowing that it actually didn't happen.
Oh, and insofar as scary stuff, yeah, I admit Trump's a hothead, okay? I think the whole world can agree on Trump, the hothead. But I have to say, and I've said this before, I said this earlier to someone else, if he can get a conservative Supreme Court restored, please, 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 please. It's something that will actually last us for generations. Assuming he doesn't pick an 80-year-old Chief Justice. If he can get restore the balance on the court and even do a third of the things he said he was going to do, I think, believe it or not, he may get a second term.
Well, I mean, and here's the thing. I'm gonna kind of repeat something that I told people yesterday. Look, and I actually tweeted this to Donald Trump. I said, I'm going to be honest with you, sir. I did not vote for you. I have my concerns about what you're going to be able to do as a president, but I hope that in 4 years I find you to be a president that I will be able to vote for your second term. And that's my honest hope right now. And look, I don't know what tomorrow holds, and I know I say that a lot, but it's the truth because we don't know what he's going to do. He could take a hard jog to the left. He could continue to irritate people by people starting to realize again that he said a lot of things that he's not necessarily going to be able to do. But what we can do as conservatives and as Americans is hold this Congress accountable, hold the Senate accountable, hold him accountable, because they are the ones that kept telling us time and time again, if you give us the reins back, we are going to fix this mess. We tried it, and it didn't work.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Hardin. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at rahardin.com. That's the World Wide Web at rahardin.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
All right, folks, we are back. We are live, and we are on KLRNRadio.com as well as AMFM247.com and CRNTalk.com. And believe it or not, we are reaching the end of the show. We have hit the final segment, so I'm going to turn the beginning of this segment over to Jess because she did mention that she had one more point she wanted to touch on, and I want to make sure we get that out before we got to run out the door.
Okay, Rick, all I wanted to say was, for all of you who didn't vote and you're rioting and yelling and screaming in the street, get off. If you are over a legal United States citizen and you are 18 or over, get off the fence, register, and participate in the political system. My other message is to the lovely special snowflakes, which I'm guessing very few of listen to this show, but your grandparents, your great-grandparents were not special snowflakes. They are the ones that fought World War II. And given that Veterans Day is just passed, or in some, just passed, it's appropriate. Come on. They didn't have everything fair, everything perfect, and everything even Steven. They sucked it up, and they moved on. And to quote a line from one of my favorite songs, we can't rewrite history. We can't go back 150 years and rewrite American history. I'm sorry, slavery is a part of our history.
And don't mention that to the lefties, because as far as they're concerned, we can always go back and rewrite history. All right, so I just want to say this as we start rounding things out for the night, and then I'm going to give a chance for Jess to give out social media contacts and everything that we normally do as we're wrapping up. Look, I'll give you guys a couple more days. For those of you that are just like me, and honestly, I wasn't sure I would feel this way, but I have to admit, knowing that Hillary Clinton will likely never get anywhere near a political office again has me breathing a very heavy sigh of relief. Knowing that she's no longer going to be able to peddle her speeches in exchange for political favors, which in exchange grant her large sums of money, makes me feel much, much better every day when I get up. And I didn't realize it at first because even my wife noticed when I came home yesterday that my spirits were a lot lighter than they've been in a long time. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that we finally managed to break the back of the Clinton machine. It took Donald Trump to do it, but we managed to break the back of the Clinton machine. And I don't see any way that they're going to manage to put it back together because at this point, they're too old. I mean, neither one of them is going to be in a position to be able to do anything useful in 4 years anyway. I mean, Hillary looked like she was running as the possible next casting call for the Crypt Keeper, and Bill doesn't look any better. But I'll give you guys another day to soak it up, to enjoy the fact that for once, for just a moment, it almost seems like maybe the good guys won, but we have got to keep these people's feet to the fire, and that's going to be the focus of my show going forward, is making sure that we are holding our elected officials accountable, because we keep saying that we're going to do that and then we don't. And it is most important now and more important for us as conservatives that we do that, because like it or not, the GOP is still the party that everyone associates with conservatism. They might have taken a lot of conservatism and thrown it right out the window this time. And in a lot of ways, they've become a national populist party now, but they are still the brand for conservatism until we build a new one, better one, or retake the old one. I'm not sure which direction we're going with it yet. I'm not sure if we're going to retake it, reshape it, make it more of our own again, or if a lot of us that are feeling disenfranchised from there are going to move on to other places. But conservatism is still a real thing, and conservatism matters. Conservatism also works. We're seeing this in the wave that swept the country. Regardless of what anybody else tells you, look at that map on November the 8th when those polls all closed and the counts were all in, and look at all the counties that went red, and tell me that more and more people are not waking up to the fact that there is a single party that wants to take us in a direction that nobody wants to go. What we need to be careful about is there are just as many people in the Republican Party that want to take us in that same direction, and that's why we have to hold them accountable. And that, again, is going to be my focus moving forward. It's holding them accountable, much like I did here in Oklahoma at our local elections, when I voted down a 1% sales tax increase, not because I didn't think our children deserved the education money, but because I know how our government works here. Anytime they got an extra source of income that by the rule of the statute had to go into whatever particular thing it was being raised for, they would remove the funds from the general budget that matched that dollar amount that was going right straight in there. So they were keeping the letter of their agreement with the Oklahoman people, and the money was going where they said it was going to go, but they were removing it from the budget and on the other end. So until we figure out a way to fix this in a way that doesn't involve me continuing to give them more of my money, they're not getting any more of my money. And that's what we need to start doing. We need to hold our elected officials accountable. That is what we, especially over the next 2 years. And I think we're out of time. All right.